Tribal Health and Human Services Department of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribes is proud to present Good Medicine, a program dedicated to the wellness of the Flathead Nation. The mission is summarized quite simply: a healthier people, a stronger nation. We will strive to make good medicine a reliable source of ideas and information about health issues so that everyone can make informed decisions about their own lifestyle and health care. You will meet health professionals, tribal government and spiritual leaders, and interesting people from the tribal community discussing important health issues that profoundly affect us all.
Good morning or good afternoon. This is Roxane Colman-Herak today on Good Medicine. We have our guest with us today who's going to be talking about some of the problems maybe we've all encountered or know a little bit about. We have Sufia West from the Ronan Middle School. She's a counselor, and she's going to be talking about what's happening with bullying and how we're all impacted by bullying. Sufia, thank you very much for joining us today on the show.
You're welcome.
So we talked a little bit before the program, and bullying is a problem in our community?
Yes, bullying is a problem in our community. Bullying is a problem in our society. There are beliefs that bullying just happens, that it's something that kids do and they grow out of. But there is evidence to suggest that some people don't grow out of bullying. They continue on with these bullying behaviors into their adult life.
Now, you were talking earlier about Ulvaeus.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the guy who was doing some research? Or?
Yes, Dr. Dan Ulvaeus is a Norwegian researcher who began studying the phenomena of bullying in the early 70s. And he became interested in this, and in his research he was able to identify some of the things that go on with bullying behavior and be very specific about identifying the characteristics of bullying. In the early 80s, 3 Norwegian boys had committed suicide as a result of being severely bullied. And the Norwegian government, Department of Education, stepped up and said, we really need to do something about that. And then they put Dr. Ulvaeus's research into the form of a program for bullying prevention.
So how long has bullying been going on?
Probably since there have been human beings. Bullying behavior, and maybe that's why people are so accepting of bullying behavior, and they're willing to turn a blind eye to it because it has been around for a long time. And however, it's not okay. It's not okay for a person to feel afraid anywhere they go. And as a matter of fact, in our adult world, we actually have laws that prevent us from being harassed in our workplace. And so that it's just coming to the schools recently, we're a little behind on that. But with all of the media attention on teens committing suicide because of being bullied, we now realize it's absolutely necessary to prevent or at least reduce bullying in the school setting.
So the school is doing what then? You have a bullying prevention program?
We do. The Ronan School District, with support of our administration, has implemented the Ulvaeus Bullying Prevention Program. Our school received grant monies, about a 4-year grant, and with some of that money we've brought in the trainers, given training to all of our staff. That's everyone who works in the school, the bus drivers, our custodians, our lunch servers, teachers, everyone who has interactions with children have been trained. However, it is a process, and we are just in the first year. So working on bullying prevention is something that's going to take time, because we need to change the attitudes about bullying behavior and create a climate within the school that does not allow bullying to occur.
So what might some examples be of how a bullying situation might be dealt with in the school?
Well, whenever our administrators get a report of bullying behavior, we look for the 3 characteristics that Dr. Olveus defined in his research. The first is an imbalance of power. A student who bullies is very powerful, either physically, socially, and maybe even intellectually. Sometimes we find that our students with special needs will be the targets of bullying. The second characteristic of bullying behavior is there is an absolute intent to harm. This is not a joke. The people who are doing the bullying enjoy inflicting this torment on the other student. They get a good laugh out of it.
So it's attention. Is that like a hunger for attention?
It is, and in a way it is also showing your power. Look what I can do. I'm powerful enough to do this. And the third characteristic is it's repeated. So when someone is reported as bullying, we look to see if the imbalance of power, intent to harm, and the repeated bullying behavior are there, because that's what makes it different from a conflict. We have students, and conflict's a normal part of life. We all have disagreements, and that's what a conflict is, a disagreement. So you will see 2 students who have been friends for a long time, but they've disagreed over something, and they definitely have an intent to harm. You know, they're calling each other names, maybe spreading rumors and gossip, but there's no imbalance of power. They're equally on the same social playing field, and it's something that's going to pass. They will have their little spat. Usually a mediation can help them patch things up, and then they'll move forward. When it's the bullying behavior, the imbalance of power, it could be many against one. It could be one stronger person picking on someone who's physically weaker, or the intellectual difference where you might have a student who has some special needs being picked on by someone who's of an average intelligence.
I think this is really important, and I can certainly remember just listening to you talk. It's like, have I ever been bullied? And most certainly it seemed like a lot through my grade school years in one form or another. You know, there's cliques, and there's always, you know, there's a power imbalance there. Have you ever been bullied in school?
Yes, I was bullied in school. Some of it had to do with, my family is a multiracial family, and so we come in all different shades of brown, and being the light-skinned person in my family, so all of us would hear racial slurs about our differences in skin color in our family, and we grew up with a single mom, so there was not a lot of financial support from our dad, and that also led to an imbalance of socioeconomic power, and so being made fun of for not having, you know, this or that, and that still exists today.
Oh, most definitely.
Yes.
The Nike, if you're not wearing Nike and all of the name brands.
Yes.
I know I see that in the schools today. So what were some of the impacts that had on you?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's just a terrible feeling. I understand why a student would not want to come to school when they are experiencing repeated attempts to humiliate them. And I would say the biggest impact it's had on me is a desire to do something to change this behavior, to change this attitude of, oh, well, you know, bullying happens, you just have to suck it up, don't, you know, sticks and stones can break your bones, but
they do hurt when they hit.
The words hurt too. The words hurt too. And nowadays, with the access to social media, bullying can happen 24/7. And there is, a student may not get a break from that. There's postings on Facebook, nasty text messages. So you don't even have to be face-to-face with someone anymore to bully them.
Isn't that interesting? When we had a program not too long ago with Dan Youngkin and the director of the college here in their IT department, and we really talked a lot about social media and what kids are doing and things that they're saying on Facebook that they would never say to that individual in person.
Right.
So it's that's another big monster that continues to grow out there, is using that venue as a way to vent or to demean another human being. So in the school, how can, I know you're starting this in the school, but certainly this is not just a responsibility that a school can take on and expect there's going to be change. How is all this going to happen?
Well, we are starting in the school, but bullying prevention is truly a community effort. We have our students 5 days a week for 7.5 hours. Bullying happens outside of the school walls. We need parents involved. We need the community involved in bullying prevention. Like I said, we started in the school, and we will be doing more outreach into the community. And as a matter of fact, we've already started. We have staff members. Tom Peterson is on our bullying prevention committee, and he has reached out to some of the local businesses and asked them to be a safe zone. So it's called Our Safe Zone. And the students know that when they see the sign there, that this is someplace they can go if they're feeling threatened, they could step in. Ronan Power Products has been great for supporting the schools, and they've agreed to be a safe zone. And we're just starting this community outreach, and we need the support of the community to make bullying prevention be everywhere, because we need bullying prevention to be everywhere.
I'm really glad to see this. I mean, I wish there were things like this when I was in school.
Yes.
You know, it might have changed my course of life, but certainly going to school every day and worrying about or having to avoid someone because they've been bullying you.
Yes.
You know, and we, you know, today we're kind of an instant gratification world. We put things out there, and sometimes we need to maybe just step back a little bit before we put those darts out there that can be so harmful and so damaging. And certainly I've had family members, friends, people that I know that they still carry the wounds of bullying throughout their life.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I think gives people the idea that bullying is something that just happens. It's something that shouldn't happen. Dr. Olveus, when he was doing his research about bullying behavior, really came to believe that this is a human rights issue. We all have the right to be safe and the right to feel respected wherever we are. I mean, that's just a basic human right. And if you are in a situation where you're going someplace where you have to be, because kids have to be in school, and you go there and you do not feel safe, your possessions are getting stolen, people are calling you names, it doesn't even have to be verbal or physical, just looks or noises, you know, just a student comes and sits down at the lunch table and everybody at that table gets up and leaves. That's very powerful. It's very humiliating.
It most certainly is. We're going to take a break, Sufia. We're going to take a short PSA. We'll be right back to continue this. Thank you.
Green power, do you understand it? It comes from our Earth's forces to generate future energy. The coming generations will either reap the benefits or pay the price for decisions made today. Are you willing to invest for the future? Only $3, $5, or $7 per month makes a huge difference for our children. Call 883-7900 for information. We'll leave a legacy. It's up to all of us what that legacy will be.
This is Roxane Colman-Herak, your host with Good Medicine. Today we're going to continue our conversation with Sufia West from the Ronan Middle School. We've been talking about bullying, the characteristics of bullying, the impacts that it has on the people that are being bullied. But now I want to talk a little bit about bullying in general. It's like, how does this start? I mean, kids don't just be born bullies. So where does all this come from?
Well, it's important to try not to blame anyone. Many of the parents that I talk to whose students have been identified as having bullying behavior are shocked. They do not want their child engaging in this kind of behavior. Bullying seems to be a way of gaining power, and an unhealthy way of gaining power. And bullying has been a part of our society. We call it bullying in the school, but when you look into other violent issues, these three characteristics still exist. Domestic abuse, there's definitely an imbalance of power, intent to harm, and is repeated. Workplace harassment, there's usually an imbalance of power there, someone with more clout, intending to harm someone and repeating that behavior. Sometimes the person will be in denial that there's an intent to harm, but if someone's letting you know that their behavior is making them uncomfortable and you continue with that, there's an intent to harm there. And so, it may be a young person's belief about, how do I get this, how do I gain power? Most students who bully, the power that they have is social power. And bullying never happens in isolation. The idea of, the big loner getting someone into a corner and saying, threatening them, beating them up, taking their lunch money, that rarely happens. In bullying behavior, what you'll see is the bullying student, and I use the words bullying student because it's very important not to label even a student who's bullying. We don't want to say, oh, you're a bully, put those kinds of labels on them. It's their behavior, and behavior can be changed. So the bullying student usually has a group of friends. Students who bully are usually very popular, and they have access to that social power. And so the target student will be harassed by the bullying student and a group of friends, which makes the attack even more powerful. Added to that, there are all these bystanders and other students that see what's going on. We know the effect that the bullying behavior has on the target student, the student who's getting bullied, but also the people who are watching this happen, the young people who are watching this other person get bullied. It gives them a sense of fear, and it makes it very difficult to stand up because they don't want to be the next target. And that's part of the intervention that we're working on. In addition to having all of our staff trained on how to recognize bullying behavior and intervene, we're also teaching our students how to intervene. It's very important that there is peer support for a nonviolent school setting. And the way we have students do that is to, if you're the friend group who's with the bullying student, and oftentimes they know that the person who's doing the bullying, they don't feel comfortable with that, but they're going along with their friend. Those friends of the student who bully need to say, hey, you know, don't do this, this is wrong, come with me, come away from this. All the other bystanders need to come to the target. It doesn't mean they have to be friends with this person. They're just saying this behavior is wrong, and tell them, say, hey, come over here with me, step away from this person. And having a peer intervention is going to be very powerful. And then, of course, the adults have to be notified that this student was being bullied by this other student, and then the adults will take action, parent contact, and notifying other staff and teachers that this student's been involved in bullying behavior. We really want to change that behavior in students, because bullying behavior will carry over into adulthood. Mm-hmm. There's research to support that students who bully at the middle school level will carry on with other antisocial behaviors. And in Dr. Olveas's research, he found that they are 4 times more likely to be incarcerated than a student who does not bully. And so it's very important to address bullying behavior for the sake of the student who's getting bullied, for the sake of the bystanders who are feeling this fear, and for the student who's doing the bullying, because their future is at stake as well. You know, they could end up in situations where they're harming other people in their adult life.
Isn't this something? It's like school's tough enough. I mean, you talk to the students, and it's like they're already, it's already a heavy load for them.
It is.
And then when you have to deal with bullying, have to look forward to that every day. So I'm really, really happy. I think our community is going to be really, really involved in this, because nobody likes to be bullied.
No one likes to be bullied, and that's like some of the power that that the bullying students have over the bystanders. It's amazing that you can have a group of people who all know that this bullying behavior is going on, and they're not willing to get involved. They don't want to be the next target. But that only adds to the feeling of hopelessness and helplessness that the target student has. And it seems that this could be the reason why students who are severely bullied would be driven to take their lives, because they know that so many people know what's happening to them, but nobody is stepping up to do this, especially if something goes out on a media post. Of course, I mean, it's been texted or forwarded to every kid in the school. Everybody knows that, but nobody stepped up and said, no, this is wrong. And so the student who is being targeted feels helpless and hopeless.
Is this something that's happening just in the Ronan Middle School, or is this something that's district-wide? Or?
This is, do you mean the bullying prevention program? Right now, our bullying prevention program is just at the middle school, but we will be moving our prevention program into our elementary schools and into our high school.
Good.
So we were sort of the pilot at the middle school.
So you've started in the middle school, so it's going to the elementary school next?
Yes, and the high school. We need to get all of that staff trained. It begins with the staff training. Okay. It's very important that staff know the characteristics of bullying, and they're able to intervene. And like I said, that intervention is confronting the bullying behavior as soon as you see it, or as soon as you're notified about it. And of course, the student who's bullying always denies. I don't think I've had one student ever say, oh yeah, I was bullying. They're like, no, I was just kidding. That was not. You know, that person doesn't care, and they'll turn to the person they were bullying and say, did you mind? Did you care that I was doing that? And of course, this person who's being bullied is
say no.
They're going to say, oh yeah, it's fine, please don't do anything about it. And that's where the adult intervention has to come in. And even if you were not sure about what you saw, if it made you feel uncomfortable, you're an adult watching an interaction between students, there needs to be an intervention. The adult stepping in, confronting the student who's bullying, and then taking the student who experienced the bullying aside and letting them know, I'm sorry this happened to you. We're going to do everything we can to prevent this from happening again. And the way we try to prevent it from happening again is to have the student who's been doing the bullying have some consequences for their behavior.
Well, I'm really glad. I think having a lot more trained eyes and ears out there is going to be a huge benefit.
It is, and we need to work more with the community, and that's our next step at the middle school, is to work more with the community about bullying prevention. Because bullying just doesn't happen in the school setting. We need parents to be aware. We need parents to be monitoring Facebook and the text messages. And if your child is one who is doing some of this bullying or participating in the bullying, you know, help your child to know that this behavior is not acceptable. If your child is one who is being targeted, getting help and letting your child know that it's okay to let others know this is happening to you. And for the bystanders, the witnesses of bullying, it's just as important that they get support as well, because they feel afraid sometimes about what's happening and are afraid to step up because they don't want to be next.
Sufia, I really appreciate you coming on the program today.
You're welcome.
You know, I heard you was one of the speakers for our suicide oversight meeting,
Yes.
and that was really well received. We learned a lot from that.
Oh, thank you.
If someone wanted to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Well, you can get a hold of me at the middle school. It's 676-3390. Extension 3402 is the counseling office. But you can also contact Kurt Schutzman. He is our vice principal, and he heads up our bullying prevention committee. Mark Johnston is our principal at the middle school level. You can also talk to him. And really, we have wonderful support from the school district administration for bullying prevention. It couldn't have happened without the support of our administrators.
Sufia, thank you for being on the show today.
You're
We're out
welcome.
of time. I appreciate this.
Thank you.
Good Medicine is your program. We hope you watch this and subsequent programs to stay informed about your health care. And we'd like to hear from you about how we're doing. Please direct any comments or suggestions you have to us. You can reach us at